Assalamu alaikum. Okay. I'd like to welcome you to Mr. Quick's online video lesson.
Okay. If you don't have your notebooks out, I just deducted 10 points from your grade. Okay. All right. Party time. You know what it is. We got something to watch.
You have a new vision of what you've already written.
I try to revise my paper by cutting it up line by line and pasting it back together. It didn't work very well.
Now, when we say revision, we mean that you're entirely rethinking your paper. You're not just sticking in some commas here and there and rearranging the words in a couple of sentences. You're taking a step back from your paper and re-examining your thesis, argument, introduction, etc., etc.
And one other tidbit about revision. It doesn't happen only at the end of the writing process. You're doing it the whole time. You rethink your ideas with every free write, every outline, and every rough draft you do. As you get research or as you get feedback from others, you're rethinking your paper. You're constantly going back and thinking, is that exactly what I mean to say? So let's go back to Nathan. He's taken a rest from his paper and then gone back and looked it over again and made some changes.
So here's the scoop on Nathan's second draft. He's elaborated on his descriptions of the different groups. He's added to his conclusion and introduction. He's also inserted some quotations and paraphrases from his outside readings into his paper where he thinks they fit.
Now, in revising his paper, Nathan hasn't changed his opinions on what he's written. Sometimes when you revise a piece of writing, you'll totally change the way you look at the content. Nathan has expanded on his opinions and made them more specific, but he hasn't changed his views on high school groups. Nathan's focused more on reorganizing and clarifying his writing.
Nathan decides to take the second draft of his paper to his professor to get some feedback. Remember, you get good feedback by asking specific questions of your reader. So Nathan's put together the following list of questions for his professor.
First question, does my thesis statement have an interesting position on the topic? Second, does my argument back up my thesis? Third, have I used my research well? And finally, are my introduction and conclusion engaging to my reader, and do they reflect the focus of my paper?
Remember, what questions you choose to ask your reader depend upon what stage of the writing process you're in, what concerns you have about the assignment, and who your reader is.
Okay, I thought it would be befitting to begin fourth quarter with going back over some things that we went over during first and second quarter, and to remind you about revision and revising, because that's what you're doing with your sand cities. Yes, Mr. Hassan Magdi, could you please remove the hoodie from your head? Thank you very much, sir. Yes. And as I read, some of your sand cities needed that, or needs that, or, you should be doing that now. Yes, and all that good stuff. In addition to that, of course, we're going to be writing some essays, some more essays this quarter. So, yes, well, looky here. We have come to the end of our learning to write and perfect writing sentences, and this is the only logical next step for us, because we haven't covered this area, which is punctuation. And from what I read in some of the sand cities, we need it and need to do it, because some sand cities were an amazing one sentence long. It's a long sentence, a really long sentence. And I don't know if you were trying to break like the record of long sentence. Well, believe me, it wasn't quite a sentence. Yes. Well, I guess we got to start somewhere. So why don't we start with what is punctuation? And you might think you already know. He said, I did this a long time ago. Well, even if you do know, write down this too. Punctuation is a set of symbols. Symbols used in writing to help indicate something about the structure of sentences, or to assist readers in knowing when to change the rhythm or the stress of their speaking. Very, very interesting. That is what punctuation is. And punctuation is not optional. Whoever told you it was lied. They told you a big fat lie. It is not optional. You must use punctuation when writing. Yes, you have to. Wow. Now, depending on the style of writing and the language used, punctuation may tend towards one of these purposes more than the other. Common units of punctuation in English and many other languages include the comma, the period, apostrophe, the quotation mark, the question mark, the exclamation mark, brackets, dashes, hyphens, ellipses, colons, and semicolons. Each of these units indicates a different thing, and some may have multiple meanings depending on context. Yes, punctuation can drastically change the meaning of your sentences. The reader will read things into your writing when they see certain punctuation marks used in certain places. If you use them in the wrong places, then you will give the wrong intended meaning to the reader. This is very serious here. Now, you can get away with it when you're chatting, because the person you're chatting with is probably not going to hold you to a high level of, grammatical excellence. However, you shouldn't allow that to cause you to have a habit of doing it, and then it seeps into your academic writing, essays, and so forth. This is very serious. Now, I know you may say, well, I know about this stuff. Well, actually, you don't. I'm telling you, I got a saying city that's one sentence long. That told me something. And the ones that weren't one sentence long, had some other issues also. Well, let's start from the good old beginning. And the beginning here is, what is an end mark? What is an end mark? Omar, what is an end mark? The what? The mouse. That's the end mark. How about if you use it at the beginning of the sentence? Is that the end? Anyone have an idea what an end mark is? Yes. A full stop or period. Anyone else? Anything else? Yes? Exclamation mark. Yes. Question mark. Yes. That's it? You sure? Okay, well, let's see. An end mark is also known as punctuation and comes at the end of a sentence. Simple as enough. It lets you know when to stop. It lets you know, it lets your reader know when to stop, to catch their breath. When I was reading that saying city, one sentence, they said I couldn't breathe. Okay, here we go. Party time. The period, or full stop. The question mark, the exclamation mark, and the ellipses. Oh, I know. That's a new one. Boy, we should be writing notes. Oh, well, hey, I don't want you to feel like you have to do anything in here, it's all, all by choice. Yes, okay, all right. Would you like to see them? Here they are. This is the period. This is the question mark. This is the exclamation mark. And this is the ellipsis. Please pay attention. This is the period. You put that at the end of a sentence. Or full stop, let me not confuse you. Yes, full stop, period, same thing, end of the sentence. If that's not enough, I tell you what, this is what we'll do. Let's talk about what a period is. What is a period? A period is the default terminal punctuation mark. By default, even if you don't know what else to do at the end of the sentence, if you don't know what to do, just put a period. Just put a period. Make it safe. Oh, you think it's funny? I'm glad you think it's funny. I didn't think it's funny when I was reading and I saw no periods and nothing. You end a sentence without conveying any meaning. If you don't know what to do when you come to the end of your sentence, just put a period. Just put a period. At least you got something. Full stop, whatever you want to call it. Okay, excuse me in the back. Would you like to see it again? That is a period. It's enlarged, okay? You make it smaller when you put it at the end of your sentence. But there it is. There it is. Huh? Yes. See? That's small. That's large. It's the same thing. It's bigger. Okay? Okay. Okay. Well, let us get more into this, please. The period. Let's talk more about it. Use a period at the end of a declarative sentence. A declarative sentence is one that makes a statement. For instance, the mayor is the top city official. Just made a statement. He didn't do anything else. Just simply stating a fact. At the end of that sentence, you should use a period. Use a period at the end of almost every imperative sentence. An imperative sentence gives a command. It's often what your parents do. If the command is said with emotion, clean up this room, then you use an exclamation point. Yes, often what your parents do. Please transfer me to the fire department. You would say that with emotion, because that means that you're having a problem that they need to come look at. It's called a fire. Okay, use a period at the end of an indirect question. Indirect question. An indirect question reports what a person asked without using the person's exact words. For instance, I asked who has the job of dog catcher. You would not put a question mark there. You put a period. Use a period after each number and letter in an outline, a list. We'll have to go into that one. That's kind of obvious. Use a period after an abbreviation or an initial. For instance, Mr. Nelson R. Diaz. The R represents his middle name. You abbreviated it, made it one letter, and you put a period after it. Mr., of course, is the abbreviated form of Mr., and you put a period after the R. This is how we use periods. We need to start learning how to use the word period, because you can't put a full stop after abbreviations. You put period. Okay, so we need to learn how to use or interchangeably use those terms. Okay, Moving right along. Can't stay there forever. What is a question mark? Well, a question mark indicates that the preceding sentence takes the form of an interrogative and may also be read to change the tone when reading aloud to reflect this. Interrogative, interrogation. This is what your parents do a lot. They ask you a whole lot of questions about whatever they want to ask about, and you have to answer it. It's called interrogation. Well, that's what it comes from in interrogative. Okay, yes, here we go. Use a question mark. Yes, to end an interrogative sentence or question. For instance, who is the dog catcher? Who is the dog catcher? Now we're asking a question. A question is not indirect. Now we use a question mark. Now we use a question mark. Now we use a question mark. With interrogative sentences. Yes? Okay. What is an exclamation mark? Exclamation mark. Yes, very interesting. Well, an exclamation mark indicates that the preceding sentence is somehow excited. You need to be taking notes. Excited or extremely important. And if read aloud, should be given stress. Special stress. Special stress. Yes. Yes. You know all about these sentences. Yes, you do. Yes. Use exclamation point to end an exclamatory sentence. A sentence that expresses strong feeling. And I'm pretty sure you hear some of those sentences by your parents. Ho, 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 ho. Yes, he will for the end of the week. Okay. Use an exclamation point after an interjection as well. Well, let's look at this. Wow! Oh, wow! What an incredible victory the election gave us. Yes, we have an interjection. Yes, and we already know about interjections because we talked about in the beginning of the year, because the interjection is one of the is one of the what? Interjection is one of the no. Good excuse. Mary, one of the what? One of the 8. We talk. Oh, thank you. Parts of speech. Wow, we didn't forget that already, did we? Yes. After interjections, we put an exclamation mark. Yes. Well, don't use an exclamation point when the feeling is not strong. For instance, wow, what an incredible victory that election gave us. Yes, in that case, can we see, you see the difference? Raise your hand if you don't see the difference. I can make it clear. Raise your hands. Don't be afraid. You don't see? This one, listen. Wow! Okay. And this one, wow. What? You see the difference? You see it? Okay. So one is with feeling, one is without. Yes. When with feeling, use an exclamation point. No. What is an ellipsis? Well, I hope we're doing something new. Everybody should be taking notes. I'm trying to hear it this time. I need to see everybody taking notes. This is new. Can y'all do that at home? Whatever y'all doing. Y'all do that at home. What is an ellipsis? You ready? So everybody got it right. Here we go. An ellipsis indicates that part of the sentence is being omitted or left out. This may be used to refer to a theoretical clause, in which case it usually implies the trailing off of the voice. And you have heard this many, many times. Example. Your mother opens the door of your room. If you don't get the... And she walks out. If you had to write that, you would use ellipses to indicate that you did not complete the statement. But you knew what she was saying. Yes, yes, yes. When read aloud, yes. Or it may indicate a real part of the sentence it has been left out or omitted, often used when quoting long passages. Allow us to get down to B's notes here. Use ellipses when part of a sentence is being omitted. For instance, the election gave us an, and if you wrote that and stopped there, you would put 3 dots. 3 dots. 3 dots. 3 dots. Now I know when you're chatting, you use a whole lot more than 3. If you want to do it right, you use 3. So don't let your habits and chatting seep into your writing, okay? It is not 10 dots or as many dots as you feel like it. It is just 3. That's it. When leaving a part of a sentence out. Okay. Use an ellipsis when quoting long passages or quotations. For instance, the official began to explain the problem. The election took place on the 11th of June, blah, 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 blah. And that's why you do the ellipsis, because you don't necessarily need to write all that the official said. Your reader gets the point. Yes. And you might do this in your saying CD, actually. Thinking about it, this one. Everybody has some dialogue. Yes. And you need to pay close attention to when we go over how to punctuate dialogue. I will be looking for that in your Sand City. We're going to get to it as fast as possible. Yes. So anything dealing with dialogue, you need to highlight it some kind of way in your notes, because I'm going to be looking for it. Actually, everything we go over punctuation, you're held accountable for. Now you know all about end marks. I don't need any excuses about not having end marks. I tell you what, I'm gonna get to your question, but do this for me. Party time. Take out a blank sheet of paper. You got 5 minutes. Blank sheet of paper, 5 minutes. Here we go. Let me put my timer up so we all on the same page as far as how long we got. Without talking, please.
Tell you what, the person who believes that this wasn't set up by our own government is an idiot.
It's the best I ever